Okay.
I will call the monthly meeting of the Westwood Library Trustees to order. This meeting is being broadcast by Westwood Media, and we thank them once again for their help in providing the service to us. Do we have any members of the public, Lizzie, present?
I see there's, I think there's two attendees watching, but I think, oh yeah, there we go. We have Abby. Yes, Joan, and then Abby Walsh will be joining us.
Okay, great. All right. The meeting being posted for 7 o'clock, we'll commence the meeting. Other than the Westwood Media recording, does anybody else have any recording devices? No? Okay, then we will move to the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 meeting. Have all the members of the trustees had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any additions, amendments, deletions, revisions? Hearing none, the chair will accept a motion to approve the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Made by trustee Van Au, seconded by trustee Macy Phelps. Trustee Van Au?
Aye.
Trustee Macy Phelps?
Aye.
Trustee Thornton?
Aye.
Trustee Persons?
Aye.
Trustee Cole?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The minutes are approved unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the Assistant Director's Report, which Lizzie has submitted, as is the practice with the board. I always give her an opportunity to highlight or add anything. Lizzie?
We are excited that we have rolled out individual study seat options. We did a soft rollout, having a morning 10 to 1 slots for about 5 seats. And then that was very successful, started getting booked up. And so we were able to make sure that our staffing schedule had people on the second floor. And so we rolled out a 2 to 5 option and a Saturday's 11 to 3. So the public has really responded to that. And we're doing, hopefully in the next few weeks, if everything stays steady, then we could open up a few more tables. But we haven't had to turn too many people away for that at all. And then Wi-Fi printing, we're doing a soft rollout of that because it's a new software. So we've had to troubleshoot a little bit because there's 3 different options. But it's a great service because if you're at home, you could add something to the queue. And then if you're on your way to the library, you can call us and arrange for us, and we hit release so we can print it on demand. So we're excited about getting a little bit more comfortable with that. And we've had some great programs. I think my favorite from last month was the Bloom Zooms with Susie Canale. She did sowing spring seedlings, and the kits were literally half of the bag was soil, and the containers and the seeds, everything was marked. And we had a great group that stayed on the Zoom for the full hour. We recorded it, had lots of questions, and are really excited to do follow-up programs with Susie for that. And Christy has applied for a Foundation for Westwood Education grant for STEAM kits. That would be more of we used to have these little backpacks in the children's department that were more kind of like story time to goes, which are so beloved, but they have definitely fallen apart for the 20 years they've been there. So we're trying to transition something like that but more active in terms of, we have robots that we want to lend out. So it would come with the coding kit and lots of things, but we want to expand upon that. So we developed about 20 different kit ideas for ages 3 all the way up to 6th grade. So they have different levels. So hopefully we'll hear back in June for that.
Lizzie, you know how much that grant was for?
Yeah, it was $600.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of the stuff, like we already have 2 robots, and so it would be adding to that kit, and then other things depending on, if it's dinosaurs as a theme for younger kids, and it's, these kits that you can either get that already have everything in it. So they're various different, some are more artsy, some are more, as I said, like coding, depending on there's this one that's like a little, it looks like a centipede, I don't like, but and you can code with it so it turns and moves. That's how you get it to move. So something like that we would purchase for the kids to learn. I can actually, I should have attached, I can attach all the different ideas and send that to you so you guys can see what some of the different kit ideas we would have.
Do you know when they'll find out When she'll find
Usually
out?
it's June. Usually it's June, but I don't know. The dates might have changed this year, but typically it's April 15th is when you have to submit them, and they usually let us know closer to June sometime. And I think the only other thing that I wanted to point out was that Trisha London has been working really diligently to record and secure all of the Philbrick art prints that the library has, since we had a donation in, I think, October or November of 19 additional prints. So it's taken on a life of its own, but it was really necessary for us. And I would love, she's done a lot of historical work on figuring out what pieces, were made when, all this background research. And, we found this old pamphlet that the library hosted, I think it was in the early 90s, a feature of all the different artwork that other people owned in town too, the Historical Society. And so I think it's a great opportunity to use one of our LibGuides. We do get phone calls of people who want to know what prints we have, either they're doing research or they're doing a project on it. And if it's okay with the trustees, I would love to, all of her work that she's done to kind of not just what prints we have, but the historical information, to make a research guide that we can attach on the library website. Right now, we just have the list of what the titles that the library owns, but nothing really beyond that. So when people call, you're kind of always like, well, wait, hold on, let me look up this book. So to collate it and have it available for people to, we can direct patrons to it, I think would be a great idea. But Trisha London is going to put that together. We won't publish it until you guys can take a look at it if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
So that's one idea.
And I note that you noted in your report that last week was National Library Week.
Yeah.
And you had a staff appreciation a coffee, right?
Yeah,
And I
coffee.
did ask Trish on behalf of the trustees, and Lizzie on behalf of the trustees, to convey to them the thanks of the board, particularly for this past year. It's really been due to their professionalism, their dedication, and their commitment that we really were a model for that other libraries have followed in terms of the services that we were able to perform and continue to provide. And Lizzie did do that on behalf of the trustees.
Thank you.
Any questions on the library assistant director's report?
I just had one,
I just-
Lizzie. Oh,
Okay,
You go, Lynn.
Trustee Cole. Yep.
I was, about the individual study seats. Are you seeing students, or are you seeing seniors, or who are you seeing people that you used to see hanging out in the study seats, or different people?
No, I think it's different people, and I can't speak as much because I hadn't spent as much time upstairs on the second floor, but it's mostly it's people. There was one person who's studying for a nursing exam, things like that. So the first one was just the morning sessions. It was mostly just adults. And maybe one or two high school students. And then as we've opened up from that 2 to 5, I anticipated it would be more of high school, because we have still limited it to high school and adults for now, just so that we can maintain that. Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Does it have to be residents, or can it be any?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't check for that. It's just they have to sign up. So we have their email, phone number, all of that, but we're not limiting it by like library card or.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Macy Phelps?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. If I could just related to National Library Week, I was keeping a close eye on the posts last week, and one that I just thought needs to be shared publicly in this forum was one that gave some statistics about what our librarians have delivered in the past year. Over 2,000 book bundles, 64,000 downloads of ebooks and audiobooks, and over 10,000 patrons attended the online programs, which the only thing I could say when I shared it on my Facebook page was, wow.
I saw that you did. Thank you for that. We were very happy. It's a good time to pause and kind of reflect on the amount of work. And that's why it coincided really beautifully with Paul reaching out and sending an email from you guys.
Yeah.
It just kind of like clicked for people, like, yeah, we have done a lot. This is great. So.
and you're doing now, more now with all these study periods you're opening up. So I think that's great.
Thank you. Any further Yes, trustee Persons.
I'd like to add, I think that Philbrook opportunity is an incredible one. I don't know, you didn't seem to mention that you need any additional resources for that, or?
We will.
Okay.
I still have to do the research for it, which is why I didn't highlight that in, because in terms of storing, obviously there's certain temperatures, there's all that in terms of if we were to store it versus finding places to put up. Some of them are already up, but there's a lot more now that we have to hang up and be able to display. And then two pieces do have to, I don't know if it's refurbished, I don't know the correct term, but need a little bit of work done to make sure that they're okay, and need to be not replated, but basically reframed. And so that will be a cost. And so, Abby, the new department head, and I and Trisha London met, and we're trying to get all those details so that we could either see, are there art preservation grants that we could look into? Is it something that the 21st century, you know what I mean? So I wanted to get all my ducks in a row and figure it out. But I know there are at least two pieces that we do need to send out and get. One has a little bit of mold on it. So when I get that fixed.
I believe it's restoration is the term.
Restoration, thank you. Refurbish, I'm in a furniture. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further? No? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the staffing update. And I'm happy that Abby Walsh is joining us. And Lizzie, I'll allow you to introduce Abby and tell us a little bit and about her, and then we'll hear from Abby.
All right. I am delighted that Abby Walsh is here with us. She is our new department head of adult and reference services. Abby's first day was March 15th, and she's really hit the ground running. Our top of our line has been getting the reference department fully staffed so that we can get those services to the public, such as the study spaces. And Abby has jumped right in, has been really positive, and has already thinking of the different ways that we can streamline and be most efficient with getting services to the public while we're still in this transition time. And on top of that, has been really creative and really positive. Instead of looking at, the last year or the next few months, with being daunted, she has really, I don't want to speak for you, but been very creative and positive, which has been a great attitude to have and to be able to work with. So I'm excited that you are here for Westwood, and I want to speak for you. I'd love to hear you kind of talk a little bit about some of the ideas that you're sharing about Westwood.
Well, hi, everybody.
Welcome, Abby.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be an employee of the town of Westwood, but also most especially of the Westwood Public Library. Just going back to the statistics that were just shared about all of the things that Westwood has been doing, it's just one of those reasons to make me proud to be a new member of the library. I understand personally what it's like to have been to have to redesign doing our work, doing our jobs. And I have personally been, before Westwood, working remotely for 12 months. So right now I'm in my basement, and Westwood gets me out of my basement. And it's really, really nice to be talking to people, meeting people, being forward facing again, because that's where we're going and that's how we're evolving. And working for Lizzie is a joy. I have to say, she's a great leader, but she allows us to fly. And that's, I've known her and worked with her for a couple of weeks, but she's really open to letting me know how she communicates with me, how we can check in. She's available to all of us. And that makes it really helpful during this time of transition, because we like to say building the plane while flying it. I think this year I'm going to continue to do that. But I've been privy to, I haven't seen a patron in over 12 months or worked with colleagues. And so this is really amazing to be able to be part of this redesign of library services. So we have been offering study space, and then working on getting patrons their printouts, which seems to be a highly requested item right now. Because of privacy issues, we're trying to streamline a process so patrons can send us their prints. We don't have to look at anything and just release them so they can maintain their privacy. We're just looking at ways to roll out services to keep the staff safe, to keep the patrons safe, and to make sure we're getting things in the hands of patrons in a efficient, safe way. So it's exciting to be part of this. And every day, we're looking at stats, we're trying to figure out like where are we at in the state, where are we at in the town, library services, how is it evolving, changing, and Lizzie is really encouraging and tapping into Minuteman resources or collaborative resources on how to learn about these evolving trends. So I'm just very excited to be part of this. Thank you for having me.
We're very glad to have you with us tonight, and welcome. And Lizzie has let us know that you're off to a great start, and we're glad to have you part of the team. You probably have already noticed that you're working with a lot of very dedicated, professional, and creative people. And the library staff is one of the prides that we have in the library. And so welcome. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Abby? No, hearing none. Thank you, Abby. Good luck. And please, and please, if there's anything we can do as trustees to help you, just let us know. And we're here to be a resource and a sounding board and an advocate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
The next item on the agenda is the library director search. And let me just do a little update, and then I'll ask Joan, Courtney Murray to pipe in, and also Mary Beth and Maureen. So we have expanded the interview committee. We have included Chris Coleman, the town administrator, Lena DeRosa, the council on aging head, Jane Wigan, a former trustee, a longtime trustee of the library, and Helen Rezenzi, who was been a long-term employee of the library. We conducted our first round of interviews over the course of a lengthy afternoon, but a very productive afternoon. And we have narrowed our field of candidates, and we have a next round scheduled on the 20th, Tuesday the 20th, correct? And I'll turn it over to Joan for additional details.
So thank you. Yes, I think we all felt that it was a strong group, and we were all clear in who we wanted to bring back for the next round. It's always nice when there's clarity among the interviewers that we all agreed that who should be brought back for second round interview. I won't talk too openly about it right now because one of our candidates is on the call with us. And so Lizzie did a great job as an internal candidate, and we are excited to be bringing her on the next round. And it's a competitive pool because she knew going into this, we all knew we were looking for the very best person to lead the library.
Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you, Joan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. You know what? I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't really say much. So, it's a great, we've got a great group of candidates, and everyone is very excited about joining us for the second round. The trustees met, and the trustees on the committee met and have come up with some great questions for the second round. We expect that the third round, I think we're not going to end our meeting on the second round before we have a date for the third visit. And I think that will be in person. We'll look forward to figuring out some way of having candidates in person. That's about all I've got right now. I'm sure Maureen and Mary Beth.
Maureen, Mary Beth, anything you want to add?
No, I think you've said it all.
Maureen?
No, I would agree.
So I have been.
Great job, Joan, organizing us.
Yes.
I've working with Trustee Macy Phelps and Trustee Persons who've been through this to this rodeo once before, as they say. I did ask for a little historical information about what to do when we have our final candidate. And based on the past practice, it would be my intention, once we have a candidate that we feel really positively and strongly about, to bring him or her to the trustees to let them meet him or her. before a final decision is made. So. But sorry, I can't hear you. We couldn't hear you, Joan.
You want to hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, yes, I said that we'll make sure that's part of the process.
yes, that's consistent with at least the past practice when Trish Perry was hired and Tom was here for a very long time, and I don't know where we would find the records on that.
And I think at that meeting, I think the town administrator was there, so whoever else would need to be there as well.
We want to make sure that we're as inclusive a process as possible. So we're moving forward at a very good process, and hopefully we'll have final candidate very soon. Any questions on this matter? I will continue to keep the trustees updated and informed. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the COVID-19 update. So why don't we start with Lizzie, and then Joan, if you could talk from the town perspective. Lizzie?
Sorry, I just cut out for a second. Did you just, are we on the COVID update?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So on our side of the things, we have been holding steady based on the town's numbers and direction from the town, which I'm sure Joan will talk about. We are still doing our 2 appointments per every 15 minutes, up to a party of 4, and through Saturdays. And we've expanded. The second floor was our big expansion. I think the next steps would be adding more appointments, but we have been holding off until the numbers have steady, because we do have, I was on a meeting with a human service function meeting, and the indication was just to wait a couple weeks to make sure that our numbers are good. So I feel comfortable that we are on track serving our patrons in a way that's still safe, and we're still not fully staffed on our second floor yet. We did reference librarian interviews on Thursday and Friday. So I think once our second floor is fully staffed again, we'll be able to comfortably monitor more patrons in the building and basically deliver the best service that we can. So so I think the next step would be adding more appointments, but I'm waiting for a response to make sure that our numbers are correct. Does that fall in line, Joan?
Yes.
Yeah, Joan, you want to talk with the town, from the town perspective?
So the town guidelines were that by March 29th, so last Monday, March 2 weeks ago, all town staff were back in the office. The buildings have been occupied throughout this year. I mean, we've been, the town buildings have been closed for the most part to the public, except for the library. And, obviously public safety has been open, but the public doesn't go in those buildings too much. And then our recreation department has been having some programming, socially distanced programming. But other town offices, notably Carby Street, Town Hall, have been closed, and then staff was rotating throughout the year. As of March 29th, we've been building back up. Virtually all town offices are fully staffed again. There are a very few exceptions here and there, someone whose kids haven't gone back to school yet, their town isn't open yet, that sort of thing. But for the most part, we are back in the building full time, and continuing to serve clients, and customers and patrons and residents remotely, virtually, and meet, when we need to make appointments, we meet them in the hall, a town hall, for example, that sort of thing. So the thought is that, and of course, as this has happened, the thought was that perhaps this week or next week, we would advertise more about appointments, people coming to make appointments in town buildings. And the numbers are going up again in Westwood, as you know. So we're being cautious. We're staying the course. We're still coming into the building, and we've got all our safety precautions in all town buildings. But I think, steady, we're kind of going steady at this point. I think, to Lizzie's point, where you are now, I'd hold. And let's see what the numbers are even this week, from next week. But they have been creeping up in Westwood steadily. So we want to pay attention to that and continue to monitor, continue to have our good safety protocols, and hope that they'll start creeping back down again, so we can continue with the process. There is no current date when town buildings will just be open. There is no date that we've discussed for that yet, but we're moving, we're baby stepping in that direction.
Well, I think the trustees, we will continue to want to adhere to the best practices and advice of the town. And we'll continue to do what we can, keeping in mind the safety of our staff and of our patrons. So it sounds like keep on keeping on at this point is the best strategy.
Absolutely. We'll stay the course.
Yes, yes.
Is it appropriate to ask the vaccination status in general of the library staff? Is that appropriate or not?
We are, and I haven't gathered that information yet, but Lizzie, you can help me with this one. My sense is that many are, and either are fully vaccinated or are, have had their first shot. And I think that there is I have not heard of a lot of people saying, I'm not going to get vaccinated. Interestingly, there are other employee groups who don't feel strongly that they want to be vaccinated. So that's an interesting situation. But that's not the case in the library. I'm sorry?
Per HIPAA, we can't really
Correct.
discuss
Correct.
other people's vaccinations and anything.
Yeah.
I had a
good
quick
point,
question for Lizzie. Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Trustee Cole.
I just wanted to know, Lizzie, with schools, with town school opening up this week, did you have any kids knocking on the door to want to come in?
I've seen them walking the Deerfield, but no, I did send something out to Emily Parks to send out to all the different parents, just with our flyer, saying we're open, but you have to make an appointment and come in and get a book. So no, I don't think so. I think the first day there might've been, they just, like, oh, are you guys not open? And we're perfectly fine. They just had their Starbucks outside. So it makes me feel better that it was a little warmer out, so I didn't feel as as bad. But we haven't had anything rushing in, so that's been good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
further questions or comments?
Paul, I just have a quick comment. You have a hand raised in the comments from a public person. I didn't know when you wanted to take questions.
Okay, and is there a member of the public present?
Yeah, there's a member. Yeah, if you go to like participants and you go down to attendees, Maria has her hand raised.
All right. Okay.
Is
We generally have public participation
At the end.
but
Yeah, that's what I figured.
if it relates,
I just wanted to let you know it was there.
Yeah, but if it relates to COVID, the COVID issue, I would be willing to take it now. Does it really?
I can't tell if it's been there the whole time, not the whole time, but earlier or not.
It's been there for a while.
Okay.
Maria, do you have something on the COVID or a more general comment?
I think I permitted Maria to be able to talk now.
It looks like it, but she's on, yep, now she's off mute.
Just unmuted.
No, it wasn't on COVID. Thank you. I'm just interested in following along and learning about everything that you do and trying to figure out how to get on and off. That's all. But thank you.
Thank you.
Maria.
Great and listen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Any further questions on the COVID-19? Hearing none, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Wentworth Hall Islington Branch Library update. And I know that Lizzie highlighted a few things in her report, but go ahead, Lizzie.
Yeah. It's a real building now. It looks great. We've got to go inside a few times for foresight meetings and seeing it even just with like just wood up, you can really visualize it. We had Corey from Tucker Interiors meet Claire Connors and I, and already just standing in the space and mapping out like where children's can go and how high the shelves will be and where we're going to put holds and this little computer center that we'll have for copying and scanning and doing work. I'm really excited, and it's every step closer, and they're really flying along. So I think this week they were putting the drywall up, so we'll get even closer to looking like a real space, and painting, and we've already picked out our carpet colors and paint. So it's exciting, and they're flying right along.
Anybody have any questions? Mary Beth? You look like you had a question.
I have one concern is that, in every aspect that I seem to be running into is people talking about the tremendous delays in furniture.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Everywhere, no matter if it's commercial or residential or whatever, people are talking about the tremendous delays in furniture, furniture deliveries, fabrics, like everything, obviously because of COVID and all the problems we've been having. I mean,
The Suez Canal.
yeah, exactly. To add that to it, right? Just today, I was having a conversation with people who said that furniture that they ordered for a project last June was delivered this month.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that, I don't know how that might affect us with the brand.
Yeah, I am also concerned about that, just because in normal circumstances, it might be 6 to 8 weeks for, if it's, a circulation desk or something like that, depending on the custom made. So, the building might be done. I don't know what but there will be a separate staging of when we can get furniture in there, when we can get all the computers set up. I mean, so I think that timeline will have to, kind of play that by ear, because there's just getting the books in the
Right,
building, and we want it.
and of course, it's all subject to procurement, this procurement
Yes.
law policies,
Mhm.
and we have to.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I should say I'm excited that the building is going along, but I'm also excited that we will make it amazing, and some of that will just go at the speed as we can.
That's probably something that we should think about, because there, all of the communications so far have been summer. We keep hearing that the building will be finished this summer, but it might, it's kind of what we're saying here. It may not be ready for occupancy,
Right.
ready for opening until, who knows? We just don't want people to have expectations that we're never going to be able to meet,
Yeah.
Maybe we can think about that.
Well, I think right now we can say that as we have indicated over the past few years, there's going to be an Islington branch. It's going to be a look like the old Wentworth Hall. It's going to have parts of the Wentworth Hall in it. It's going to be a more state-of-the-art facility, and we're going to make it the best branch we can. And so to the extent that we have told, made a commitment to the people of the town, that commitment is in the process of being fulfilled, and at least the building part of it will be done sometime in the summer. But it is going to happen, and you can see it when you drive by there, and it's been a long time coming. And I want to thank obviously the library staff, Lizzie and Claire and Terry, for their diligence in staying on top of this project. And I also want to thank Trustee Macy Phelps and Trustee Persons, who've been living with this the longest as our senior serving members of the board for their work on this. I know Trustee Persons served on the task force. Trustee Macy Phelps has been kept a steady eye on this, and also Trustee Thornton. So we're almost there. Is how I feel. Anybody have any questions or comments on the Islington branch project? Hearing none, we'll move to the update from the Friends of the Westwood Library. Trustee Cole and Trustee Van Out, anything to report?
Well, like we were saying, they haven't met since we met last, but they're having their annual meeting on May 19th. I assume it's 7 p.m.
Yes, and I think that there'll be
An author.
there's an author, and I think there'll be an opportunity for people to join that,
It must be Zoom. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah, it is.
Jane Healy is the author,
Yes.
and she has a book, The Secret Stealers. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can download the book on your Kindle for free.
Yes. Which I finished it recently, and it's an interesting read. So So that should be good. And she has a few other books that are set in Boston and so forth. So I think that will draw a lot of people to
good.
hear her. Yeah.
And you can sign up for the event on the library website.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
Thank you. Anything further from the friends? We thank you, Trustee Cole and Trustee Van Al. 21st Century Fund update. Trustee Macy Phelps.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the fund has not met, but the fund board has kept in touch through email, by way of updates. The fund's finances and investments continue to perform well, so we're very happy with that. At our most recent meetings, the fund has discussed the
Poet
thank
Laureate.
Poet laureate.
Thank you. Yes. Had a just couldn't put the word wasn't coming to my lips and tongue. Thank you. We discussed the poet laureate position, and the board is definitely in favor of supporting that. I think our next step is to get back in touch with the town just to make sure we're on the same page in terms of what sort of stipend it would be deemed appropriate. And we may want to approach another organization in town that might want to co-sponsor, perhaps one of the businesses that might want to have their name on it along with the fund. So that would be the next step.
Mary, if I could just interrupt. I think when we first started talking about the poet laureate and the stipend and everything, I think that Tricia had some paperwork of the towns that had it, and some of them did discuss how much they paid. I didn't know if I'm sure you looked at that already.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you.
Trustee Persons,
I
did
have
you?
copies of that.
Yeah. No. Okay. Any questions on the 20th Century Fund update? The next item on the agenda is the acceptance and approval of expenditures. And I will accept a motion to adopt and approve the expenditures and acceptances. Has everybody had an opportunity? Moved by Trustee Persons. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Macy Phelps. Any question?
Yeah, I just had a question. I was curious. I noticed items for young adult summer reading, which that sounded very promising.
Exciting.
The summer is here.
Sorry.
Or is that from last summer?
No, it's for this summer. We try to get most of our at the March Friends meeting, because we spend these months now getting our prizes ready, planning it. So we ask at the March meeting for those. So we wait till June. We have to face the kids' faces as we tell them we don't know what their prizes will be. We want to be prepared.
Okay. Great, thank you. Just curious about that.
Any further questions? We have a motion made by Trustee Person, seconded by Trustee Macy Phelps to accept and approve the expenditures and acceptures on the report dated April 12, 2021. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Trustee Van Al.
Aye.
Trustee Macy Phelps.
Aye.
Trustee Persons.
Aye.
Trustee Thornton.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The accepted report is accepted, and I will come by, Lizzie, in the next couple of days to sign the report. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business. Right, just 1 second, flipping between my reports here. Yeah, new business. I have an item of new business, and I just want to note that I believe, given the upcoming town election on the 29th, right? They moved it back 28th, I'm sorry, from Tuesday to Wednesday, that this will be Trustee Thornton's last meeting as a member of the Board of Trustees. It's been my pleasure and privilege to work with Wendy as she's been on the board. I particularly appreciate the perspective that she's always brought as a mom and as an educator and as an avid bibliophile. And thank you, and also for your service as the recording secretary, the clerk. An underappreciated job, and not one that everybody always raises their hands and gets in line for. I know, because I now do it for the foundation, and so I thank you for that, and just for your service to the town, and for for what you've added to the board, not only your perspective, Wendy, but your enthusiasm and your just love of educating and lifelong learning and books. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Paul. I will definitely miss our gathering. I'm probably going to be joining the Friends because I'm just switching my affiliation with the library. I cannot wait for it to be open full time. Lizzie and I are going to start a book club for the community, a special book club, and a certain genre that we're an affinity to. But I've just really enjoyed my time on the board and working with all of you.
Okay.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. We'll miss you.
Yes.
And don't be surprised if we have you help us out on the strategic plan and some other things.
Yeah. Yes.
We're not losing your email or your phone number.
No problem. And I hope that I can be there when they open up Wentworth Hall for sure.
Definitely.
Any further new business?
I have an idea
Go ahead.
for something. Okay. So the fire department has a fire pump truck that is no longer of use. And I'm envisioning that the library might have the potential for a mobile outreach vehicle in this fire truck. So I've been doing some research. I have a book, if you're surprised, and I've talked to the fire chief. I've talked to the head of DPW. I'm doing my background, but I wanted to bring it to you guys now to let it kind of ferment in your heads about how we could have a really awesome outreach vehicle that we could use for school visits and senior living and, on the other side of Route 1 and lots of things to think about. So I did not add it to my report yet. I wanted to do a little bit more research, but I wanted to bring that potential up for you guys to consider.
Is it Curious George that has a whole book about the fire? Was that your inspiration?
I
Lizzie?
love this idea. I love this idea.
Great.
Yeah, anybody I've mentioned to so far has been like, I was standing in the back parking lot of the fire department and the firemen look over, they're like, hi, I'm like, I'm from the library. They're like, oh, cool, what are you doing? And I said, I want to make this into a bookmobile. And they're like, awesome.
No, I mean,
Know what a pump truck looks like.
You know what? I should have given you a photo. So it has a little bit of superficial damage. It still runs. It's from 1989. I'm going to see if you guys can be able to see this, if my glare is not.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So would you have to learn how to drive this, Lizzie?
Yeah.
I've done some research, guys. So it's only 13,000 pounds, so it doesn't need it for that. It does have an air brake, so I might need something special to learn to drive a vehicle with an air brake. But there was also, there's different ideas being floated where if it's not an everyday occurrence, and some towns have it. So let's say you have a schedule for May, and you're going to visit these 2 elementary schools and take it to this baseball game on Saturday. Because the other thing during COVID that came about is that libraries that had outreach vehicles made them into basically mobile hotspots. I mean, they had an antenna and they would show up at different areas of town so that people could get on the Wi-Fi. And even in the first phase, because you can do it in phases where you have an idea, okay, well, as long as we can store the books in a table, we could make a pop-up location. And even with our mobile hotspots, eventually when you get, more funding for it, that you can outfit it so it has its own mobile antenna. And I was assuming, at first that only big cities or very rural areas. And as I started looking into it, there's towns of all sizes. And it's really about looking at your community, looking at the different outreach that you're already doing and bringing, that's why it would be a mobile library. We're bringing our library out to different places in the community and Westwood Day. And if I could drive it in a parade,
Right. Yes.
They told me that there
Memorial
was,
Day
You've
parade.
just
Yes.
you've just always wanted to wear a fireman's helmet. right?
oh my, well, I'll tell you, Paul, they said, I said, does that radio still work? And they're like, no, that radio doesn't work. And I go, what's that? And he goes, oh, that's the PA. And I just had this look in my eyes.
Oh,
I'm like,
no,
it has
my.
a PA? You shouldn't have told me that. He's like, books coming your way. So I will do some
Fire a
more.
monkey. Wait, Lizzie, I think a pump truck needs a mascot. Does the library have a mascot?
Yeah.
Not. We should do a campaign.
Contest.
Yes.
Not yet.
I know.
What's Harry Potter's
know.
owl's name?
Hedwig.
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 I know.
We could
And
add
we
that.
could, yeah, I have lots of ideas because
Well,
I
we
could,
look
I
forward
said it.
to your report, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
It
having a
sounds
lot
great.
of fun.
I agree. Sounds cool.
I will be on your subcommittee. That's my first thing as a non-trustee.
That's your new job, Wendy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Any further items of new business? Before I accept the motion to adjourn, the next meeting of the trustees will be Monday, May 10th at 7 p.m. And at this point, it will be via Zoom unless there's a very big change in circumstances, which I don't anticipate, but I'm an optimist, but at some point in time. And since that will follow the election in the town meeting, that will be our annual organization meeting as well. So the acting director will open that meeting. And we'll make sure that the agenda includes that. Having said that, if there's nothing further, are there any
Paul?
members of, yes,
Paul, whoever takes on the distinguished duty of clerk, if they just want to let me know and I can forward them my template, that actually makes it
Okay.
quite easy.
okay, thank you.
Looking at you, Jessica.
That's good shot for camera.
I know Trustee
No,
Cole has a
sorry.
lot of experience with this as on the planning board, so if she'd be interested.
I'm flexible. I'll do whatever you need.
All right, well, we can talk at the organization meeting. And then is there any member of the public who wishes to comment before I take a motion to adjourn? I don't see anybody with there. Let me check the participants. Oh, okay. Seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn. Made by Trustee Persons, seconded by Trustee Macy Phelps. Trustee Van Au,
Aye.
Trustee Macy Phelps,
Hi.
Trustee Persons,
Aye.
Trustee Thornton for the last time,
Aye.
Trustee Cole,
Hi.
and the chair also votes aye. We are adjourned, and we'll see you on May 10th.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks, Paul. Don't
Good
forget
night,
to vote.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for having me.